everyone and welcome to today's video. We're doing another Pokemon related video and this one's a bit different to the standard Pokemon video. I am going to be looking into what I imagine the real world would be like if Pokemon were in it. So my idea is that I would base like a combination of the Pokemon rules and our reality rules together to make a world that is more realistic and more within standing of what I think Pokemon should be. Now this is for fun. This isn't what I think Pokemon games should be, because this would be depressing, most of the stuff I'm going to say. But I just think this would be a fun little topic to talk about, because I mentioned it once in a stream and everyone seemed really interested in my thoughts behind this. So I thought I'd do a nice little video if you will. So I'm going to set the scene. You're young. There's Pokemon everywhere. Everyone's got a Pokemon. Everyone you know, the police officer have Pokemon. Everyone with a job has a Pokemon. Because at 10 years old, you'll be gifted a Pokemon. Now, the way this would work is that you would be given a Pokemon within certain boundaries. So you'd have time to bond with this Pokemon before you were just given it. You weren't just given a Pokemon because it's dangerous. You would go to Professor Oak's lab, or go to a professor's lab, go somewhere like that, and you would be given a number, and you'd be given a random Pokemon. Random. Now, I mean, it could be anything. It's just a number that's tied to a Pokeball, and you'll be like, so you'll go up to the counter, and you'll be like, I'm number 362. Can I have a Pokemon? And it'd be like, okay, let me scan you. Okay, there's a Pokeball that's come down. You take that Pokeball and you go sit down. And then you'd go into like an office environment or like with adults, and you'd be introduced into this Pokemon. And you'd have time to bond with it. And then over the process of a couple of months, you would get to know the Pokemon and be able to trust that the Pokemon isn't going to intentionally hurt you. And that's your Pokemon. That's your one Pokemon you get. The one Pokemon you get for life. End of story. The only exception would be is if people did the trainer challenge. Now, my mindset for this is that you can't just go and do the Pokemon challenge. Like every in the Pokemon world, you reach 10 and you could just go on a journey. That's not how it would work in the real world. You'd have to be 18, you'd have to apply for it, and you'd have to prove that you are able to do this because you're going to be traveling. You're going to have to camp, you're going to have to cook, you're going to have to feed this Pokemon, you have to look after yourself, and you've got to prove that you can have more than one Pokemon. Because if any of you guys have pets, you know pets aren't easy to look after. So imagine having 6 on you at all times. Imagine having a pet Gyarados. You know? That's how it would be. So I believe that you get to 18 and you make a decision then. Do I want to go on the Pokemon trainer course? Do I want to go and try and be a battler for entertainment? Like in Sword and Shield, Pokemon is very much used as a sport, like an entertainment feature. That's how I imagine it would be in the world if we did battling, like we do in the traditional Pokemon games. So you'd be put in an application, you'd be like, I would like to be like a Pokemon trainer. And you would go through an exercise, like in the army, like in other things, to prove that you are worthy of going on this task. And you have the potential to replace a gym leader as an end career or like an Elite Four member or something like that. You get prize money if you win tournaments. It would work in that way. You'd be hired by people. Like, it is very much a job that you would be applying for in a sense. And if you didn't want to do that, it'd be like the normal world. I want to work as a nurse. I want to be a graphic designer. The only difference is you'd have a Pokemon companion because you, as it's stated in the original Pokemon world, you wouldn't be able to just walk out because it's dangerous, because Pokemon are dangerous. There's a Scyther around. You could get cut in half. Arcanine, fire, set on fire. There's another thing I would like to mention too. I believe that we wouldn't be as frail as we would. If we evolved in an environment with Pokemon, I believe that we would have higher pain toleration. No, hold on. We would have higher pain thresholds. We would be immune to fire and electric, and we would be able to swim a lot further than we actually can. I still think we would drown. I don't think we would develop gills or something, but I do believe that because of what we're evolving in a sense, we are a Pokemon ourselves, we would be a lot more resistant to damage. So it wouldn't be, like I said before a minute ago, you know, Pokemon World is still dangerous. If you win the Pokemon World and a Scyther could cut you in half. I believe that there is counterparts in the sense that we would have evolved enough to be able to defend ourselves in some regard. So we couldn't just get set on fire and dead, 3rd degree burns. That we wouldn't get burnt in that way. We'd take damage, but we wouldn't get burnt. So after this bit, we've basically, say that you have applied. Again, now this is only, like, everything else in my mind would be normal. To have a normal job, normal life, except you'd have a Pokemon to look after you, to help you, protect you, and as a companion for life. And I believe you would have that Pokemon until you died, or the Pokemon died. There'd be a bond, there'd be a connection, and there's no replacing it. And I believe that their lifespans would be similar to ours in some sense. But we're going to go back to the Pokemon trainer kind of challenge. My vision of it would be that we would, say you've got through this course, say you've got through and you've met all the requirements and you go on this journey. You're in danger the minute you set out. This is never going to be easy. There's criminals everywhere. Think about it, in the Pokemon games we're introduced to Team Rocket a lot. And other evil team and organisations. That's going to be the reality of the world. You're going to be in danger. You have to be able to defend yourself. I think, like, if you win this course, you'd have to have some self-defense training in some way. So you go on your course. I believe you'd have a time limit of like a year, like till the tournament kind of comes up. You get all your gym badges the way you would normally. So you travel with Pokemon and you'd be given a maximum of 6 Pokemon forever. That's it. And the other thing is you'd have to catch an extra one. Now, why do I say you have to catch an extra one instead of the 6? Because we go back to when you were 10 and you received these random Pokemon. That's because everyone that goes on the Pokemon Trainer course has to catch an extra Pokemon that they send off to the lab, so that everyone else gets the circle of Pokemon. So it never like ends. The surplus of Pokemon to be gifted out is never ending. So you always have to catch an extra one to send back to the lab to give to someone else. You can't bond with it. You've got to make that choice. And I believe that is how they would replenish that. So you're given a maximum of 6 Pokemon and you can't go over that. You have your starter Pokemon. You get the option to catch a couple. You get the Pokeballs would work is that they are instant catches. There's no shakings, none of that lock. They're a lot of money. They're not cheap, and you have to earn them. So you have to beat each gym, and then you get one. I believe it would work that way. The first 6 gyms, you have to get a Pokeball from each gym, and that is your reward. And then you've got to kind of come up, like we do in VGC, you've got to come up with techniques and like styles to keep yourself relevant, to keep yourself popular. You've got to act like a public figure sort of thing. And I believe a lot of people would fail at this. I believe that there would be a select 50 that go into the league and they're the ones that make a career out of it. And everyone else would have to fall back on a different kind of career path. And if you failed and it didn't become a permanent, like kind of a permanent job, you have to give the Pokemon that you've bonded with away, because you wouldn't be able to afford to look after them and they wouldn't be properly maintained. You could keep your starter Pokemon, but say you'd gotten to the gym chat and you managed to, and you give up after the first gym but you did catch a Pokemon. I feel like you would have to give that to the gym, like to the people, to keep it, if that makes sense. But then there's other circumstances. Say you're rich or something. Say you've got all the space in the world for your Gyarados. That's different. I think you could probably keep it then. But as a standard like person on like minimum wage or whatever it is, and not a professional Pokemon trainer, you would have to, unfortunately, give your Pokemon up. Because I don't think that in the real world we would be able to look after 6 unless you were in a career that mean that they were properly looked after. But that's just kind of a little look into how I imagine the real world would interact with the Pokemon world. Like, and that's why I think that everyone would have a Pokemon. Like, in the Pokemon world, every trainer you kind of run into always has one Pokemon. Like, you know, I feel like we would all have to have a Pokemon and we would all bond with it. And evolution would happen normally, like, still a thing. So you got a Caterpie. I reckon that instead of like 10 levels, it would be over a time period. So like, because Caterpie traditionally evolves really fast, it would evolve into a Metapod, into a Butterfree over a month. Something like that. It would come with age, unless you were battling. Say you were like a trainer, then it would be different because they would be under extreme circumstances where they would be forced to evolve to better defend themselves because you're using them in a battling environment. If you're just a standard person who's a nurse, who's a police officer, well, mind you, if you're a police officer, I guess that is kind of extreme circumstances, but if you're in a standard job like a graphic designer, then your Pokemon isn't going to be under any stress, so why would it evolve unless it was through age? It wouldn't. Now, I believe certain Pokemon, such as Magikarp, and anything that evolves into something fucking huge, wouldn't be gifted out. That's something that's a really rare thing. Like, those Pokemon, like legendary Pokemon, are not easy to get a hold of. They're very much sought after. Legendary Pokemon would be legendary. There would be tales of them. You'd see them every now and again. There'd be artist renditions of them. And people with blurry cameras of someone who caught a glimpse of a legendary Pokemon. They would remain legendary and they would be unattainable. You would never get them. No one would ever have a legendary Pokemon. It would forever be legends. But yeah, if you want more videos where I talk about what my idea of what a Pokemon world could be, please let me know, because I'm happy to do them again. I know that I kind of ended on like a weird point, but if nothing makes sense, please like leave a comment below and I will try and answer it to the best of my ability of what I imagine a Pokemon world could be. I mean, I've always considered writing it all down at some point, but I'm just kind of going on a ramble today just to kind of put my ideas out there. And if anything resonates with you or you got any questions or how you think, well, what if this was a situation? How would that kind of impact your world of that you imagine Pokemon would be in a reality? Then I'll answer it. I'll try my best to answer your questions. So, yeah, I've just rambled on for God knows how long. I don't even know how long I've been recording. But, yeah. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment, please like, please subscribe, please do all that wonderful stuff. And yeah, share it with other people and let me know what you think.